The last 2 weeks have been a spring break of sorts for the short track aces of the ASA, and after the mayhem of April, it's been a welcome lull in the hostilities. But even though the battle scars from that crash-filled campaign are healed, there are still a lot of bruised egos and lots of stored-up memories of a bump and run perhaps overdone, tender taps that became nasty nudges, and numerous doses of disrespect between drivers. It's a well-known fact that racers have long memories, and you know what they say about paybacks. Well, whatever happens, it happens next, live on Speed. And here is Toledo, Ohio for the 5th round of the American Speed Association's National Championship, the Glass City 300 at the very fast high bank half mile known as Toledo Speedway. Hi everybody and welcome. I'm Greg Kramer, joined by Jim Trado, Ken Stout, and Rob Albright will be down in the pits. This field has just fired up and they are starting off on their pace and parade laps. We want to get you right to the starting lineups for this one. First 2 rows, 3 veterans, a very fast rookie, but for Butch Miller, not only a new track ASA record, but another very rare achievement. But interestingly, he's not all smiles.
Perhaps it was a bit prophetic. Butch Miller, in winning a career-tying pole this weekend at Toledo, brought both his dad and his wife to experience it. Butch, what does it mean to you to equal that record set by Bob Seneca?
You know, it's great, and, you know, I want to go on and beat Bob's record, but I'm going to do it with mixed emotions because Bob was a superhero of mine, and, you know, he could have done anything he wanted.
Rows 3 and 4, a couple of rookies, a couple of veterans, one of them a former champion in Brian Reffner. We move to the next couple of rows, 5 and 6, Joey Miller, Chad Wood, Casey Smith, Peter Cozzolino. For Chad Wood, truly a veteran, but this year, it finally seems to have all come good.
Chad Wood started his ASA career in 1998. Since that time, he's only had 6 top 10 finishes. But here in 2003, my man, you were doing a very nice job.
Yeah, the team's working well together. New crew chief Darren Bavery is working well with me, and everything seems to be gelling real good, and we're real happy with the success we've had.
The next couple of rows, again, 2 rookies and 2 very savvy veterans. And for the youngest driver in the field, Stephen Light, well, when he comes to Toledo, Ohio, in his quiver, he has a secret weapon.
At 16, Stephen Light is the youngest driver in the starting field today. His crew chief, Scott Hansen, won here 3 times as a driver. Stephen, did he give you any advice on how to get around this place?
When we first got here, he took me out and he showed me what the track was like and where the preferred line was. And as soon as we got out to practice, I adapted right to it, and we were pretty fast off the get-go. So, you know, we've been fast these last couple of races and just had some bad luck. So hopefully today we can get this monkey off our back.
Rows 9 and 10 bring you the rookie Brett Sontag, surrounded by 3 veterans, Then rows 11 and 12, Mike Garvey joined by the very tall rookie Boris Yurkovich, Glenn Allen, and J.C. Beatty. For Mike Garvey, once again, incredibly fast in qualifying, but after qualifying, ran into some problems.
Mike Garvey, you must be very frustrated falling from the number 3 spot to number 21.
Well, we are, Ken. We had too much fuel pressure in qualifying. It simply states you can't have more than 62 pounds of fuel pressure, and we had too much. They checked it 4 times for us, and every time was too much, so we'll just have to come from 21st instead of 3rd.
And as we show you the final 4 rows of the grid, a couple of special drivers to note. Concord winner Davin Seitz starts 26th, but he's come through the pack before, and even worse for Gary St. Amant, mired back in 30th. So tough going for both those gentlemen. Hi everybody, and again, welcome to this very fast track. We're very excited. If we go back to our most recent round, Mike Garvey, Jim, got the win there. It vaulted him from 5th to 3rd in the points. There's 2 awfully savvy guys in front of him.
Mike Garvey, hands down, has had the fastest race car this season. However, consistency pays when it comes to making up the points. 2 champions, former champions, Kevin Sawinski and Butch Miller, have shared the point now. Butch emerging because he's the only driver in the series with 4 straight top 5 finishes.
Now, we certainly do have a few rookies in that top 10 group. A lot of the veterans have said the rookies not showing enough respect, but as always, the rookies have their own story as well.
We're out there just trying as hard as we can every lap to prove, you know, that we can run with the older guys. So, you know, that just sort of puts pressure on us to run good, and sometimes we run a little too hard.
A lot of these guys are looking to move up, move to the next level. They have pressure on them to perform and maybe run up front or win races.
I think it's just gonna, you know, the veterans are really smooth and, you know, they're finesse drivers, but I think they're gonna have to come around and get a little aggressive.
They're thinking that all the Winston Cup and Busch teams are watching them, and it's just a win at all costs attitude, and that's not how we grew up racing.
The veterans are great racers, but there's a lot of good talent in the rookie class this year, and they're going to have to give us some room sometimes, and the give and take's going to have to work both ways, I think.
And there's a look there. Problems already once again for Gary St. Amant. But he has come from the back before. 2 championships in his back pocket. We'll see what he can deliver here in Toledo today. As we said, whatever happens is going to happen very soon. Don't go anywhere. Today's live coverage on Speed Channel of the ASA Racing Series Glass City 300 is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich Tires, the official tire of the ASA, and by Meyer. Log on to Meyer.com for a chance to win the official ASA pace car. And by the new Odor Eaters Plus arch-supporting insoles, the only arch-supporting insole that protects against odor and wetness. And the field coming around. Pace car is in. We are about ready to start. 300 laps of racing. There's the call. We are underway. Nice move from the outside. Sorensen read it beautifully. Eases in front of Butch Miller as they come through the field. Sorensen grabs the early lead.
Surprising move. You would think the veteran would want to be the leader. If I was Reed Sorensen, maybe follow in behind Butch.
That's Pyle and Sawinski, number 63 and 1. Robbie Pyle moves by. Sawinski picks up 3rd. Sawinski down into 4th. And then the 0-5 machine, that's Chris Wimmer, who had a very strong run in qualifying, filling out the top 5. But already Sorensen and Miller opening up a little bit of a margin.
With as strong as Reed Sorensen's car looks right now, keep in mind he's in a rookie battle. 5 points for every driver who leads a lap. He knows how dominant Butch Miller can be here if he's read the history of Toledo Speedway.
Yeah, Butch has had an incredible run here. Was on the pole here last year. Keep in mind, a lot of success, broke the track record here. He's been very, very tough indeed. Good battle here for 3rd. Robbie Pyle in the Sitco machine. Right there, you can look back, see just how close Sawinski is. That SK Hand Tools and Great Clips car. As we hop on board here now, looking out the front from Robbie Pyle, one of our onboard shots. Currently 4th in the points. Garvey leapfrogging him, as we talked about, with that win in Atlanta, or Lanier more accurately.
And there's been a lot of bumping and running in this series, and the drivers are concerned. Robbie Pyle was running in the top 3 late in the going. He has something to prove here. He has not won in a couple of years.
Big development here. Stephen Light, if you recall, as we went through the grid, he talked about, we just need a little break. We've been quick. We can be there. Looks like that's not going to happen today. He is in, and that's a bad sign from the crew chief right there. They're calling for more help over the wall. So a problem there. Meanwhile, Rob Albright, Reed Sorensen leading away and getting away from Butch Miller.
You know, Butch Miller may be sorry he gave Reed some advice. Reed tested here the same day Butch Miller did. Butch took him for a ride in the rental car. Reed said he learned a lot of things that helped him, and it's sure paying off.
Who'd have thunk, you know?
He has made good his escape, there's no question.
He likes to help, but I don't know if he's going to do that anymore.
Yeah, he might help a little bit closer to the mess right now. And for Butch, that little bit of a gap he'd opened up over Robbie Pyle has gone away. And Davin Seitz, way back again in the 26th starting spot. When that happens, you get back in the mess in the field, and it got away from him, and he has caught the wall.
The infield quarter mile is what the wall that he ended up hitting with the foam barriers.
Ooh, well, good thing the foam was there. Meanwhile, we've been following right from the start. Problems for Gary St. Amant. Ken, what's going on?
Yeah, Gary St. Amant certainly had one of the toughest starts he's had all year long. And once again, these guys will not get off to a good start here. As you can take a look at a spark plug boot, this is an inherent problem that pretty much all these cars have from time to time. Looks like they're going to come back in here and take another stab at it, but that car is missing, so they changed the spark plug wire boots on it to try and fix the mess. Let's go to Rob Albright.
I just talked to Stephen Light's crew chief, Scott Hansen. He said a sway bar adjuster has broken on the number 23 machine, something you don't anticipate, don't expect. High-banked racetracks sometimes do damage to suspensions, but not this early in the race.
That is an amazing development this early in the going, as you point out, for St. Amant. Frankly, they've been struggling with that engine miss pretty much all weekend, and that's why he was absolutely nowhere in qualifying. Reed Sorensen continues to lead over Butch Miller with Robbie Pyle in 3rd. Kevin Sawinski, former champ, sits in 4th, and 0-5, Chris Wimmer in 5th. Well, Welcome back, everybody, and this is the type of crowd that is one of the reasons you see this series return to Toledo Speedway so often. 17th visit. Let's check in with Rob Albright on Davin Sights.
I just talked with Davin's crew chief, Kim Atkins. Kim says the damage appears to be superficial and very slight, if at all. He's been on pit road twice under this caution. Of course, he precipitated the caution. No contact with any other race cars. Maybe, he says, just a little over-anxious.
Now the rookie blood gets flowing. Meanwhile, we are back to green. Sorensen leads them back down into turn one with Butch Miller, the Timberwolf Chevy, right behind. And again, they get a little bit of a gap over Robbie Pyle. He doesn't seem to be great on the restarts, Jim, but you get 3-4 laps. Robbie closes right up on Butch. Now it's going to be interesting to see what Sorensen does again.
And really, this is the class of the field all weekend long. These top 4 or 5 cars have led each session in practice, led in qualifying, obviously. Points being awarded. One thing we mentioned was Mike Garvey's penalty early on. We'll see how he can march through the field early here as well.
And the 0-8 of Casey Smith ducks underneath Zach Niesner, a rookie running as a teammate, essentially, to Butch Miller here. Extremely successful in the northwestern portion of the states, doing some late model racing and the like. But this looks so good in practice and in qualifying. We have another yellow, but he seems to be slipping back.
Niesner lost a couple of spots. He has the identical setup to Butch Miller, so I would think that it would settle in. Maybe he just got shuffled back early here. That's a front fender. It's made out of fiberglass. And we'll pick up, maybe it's Davin Sights. Maybe he lost a little bit of that John Michael Montgomery CD cover off his bodywork.
That could very well be indeed. Meanwhile, field under their second caution already with only 15. This one, as you said, simply for material down on the track. Now, Zach Niesner, a very interesting story. Not really familiar to a lot of people, but he has a great ally on that team. We checked in earlier.
West Coast standout Zach Niesner recognized that ASA is the best short track racing in the country. He also realized that 3-time ASA champion Butch Miller would be the best teammate. Zach, how is this relationship benefiting you?
Oh, it benefits me every time we come out to the track. You know, I've got to gain a lot of respect from some of the best short track racers in the country here. That's my biggest task, but SS Racing and Juice Batteries put me in great equipment to run competitive. So, I mean, I'm happy and excited about everything.
Butch being a mentor, is it a benefit or is it a distraction?
In this case, it's a benefit. Zach's got a world of experience out on the West Coast, and the good part about Zach and I is we like the car the same way. You know, if he likes the right front spring, I'm going to like it too.
22-year-old Zach Niesner teaming this season with Butch Miller. They're hoping that this Juice Battery sponsorship gives Zach the extra juice he needs for ASA Racing success.
Well, Zach, fast from the get-go here, qualified 5th, has dropped to 13th. Meanwhile, let's check back in with Rob Albright, who's got some news about his teammate, Butch Miller.
Actually, I was going to talk about Casey Smith in the 08 car. Not a whole lot of update for you on Butch Miller's machine at this point. Obviously, he's a patient driver. He's going to wait for his opportunity to get by the rookie a little bit later on. A brand new sponsor for Casey Smith this weekend is Warranty Gold. I also had a chance to talk with his mentor, that is his car owner, Robert Hamke. Robert, legendary in short track stock car racing in the Southeast, and he doesn't pick his drivers easily. He's very particular about who he chooses. He thinks this young 18-year-old has the goods to go to the top.
And let's get into Ken Stout. Ken, what's going on?
Here with the crew chief for Butch Miller. Dion, we talked about this before. We thought maybe he might go out there and charge real hard, and you said not necessarily so in a long race.
No, the key to Butch is we need to just take our patience, take our time, not wear the tires out and try and figure out what the car needs for a long run. Butch is the king of keeping tires under the car, so he just likes to sit back. The young guns want to go, we'll let them go, and we'll wait till the end to finish this thing.
Funny you said that they've got to figure out what to do because everybody else is waiting to see what Butch Miller does so they can figure out what they're going to do.
Well, how can you argue with his success? And Jim, one thing about Butch is he is the definition of the word smooth. Fast, but smooth.
And he's open to ideas. He doesn't have a set way of doing things. We just saw Dion Deneau, the cool yellow goggles on. Dion is focused. He's also won a championship here in ASA as a crew chief for Tim Sauter in 1999, so he knows how to prepare and get things going the proper way. They confer. If they conflict, they figure out whose is faster and they run with it, which is a great way to run things.
It's called teamwork, and it's very successful. Meanwhile, we want to remind you some other activity you can check out here on Speed. NASCAR Bud Pole Qualifying coming at you live from Lowe's in Charlotte, North Carolina, next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. NASCAR Bud Pole Qualifying. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome. Jimmy Johnson wins the Winston last night. Where did he learn to race?
ASA Rookie of the Year,
got it.
1998. Right, he's spent 2 full seasons here in the series, working with Howie Leto, now the crew chief for Ryan Hemphill.
And I mean, he just dominated the Winston last night, so obviously,
Caution south.
Caution is back out. They say there's a bolt laying in turn 2.
Well, there you go, folks. You know as much as we do right from the source on the track there.
That was the over-emphatic Chaz Howe, the spotter for Robbie Pyle. They both have about, the same temperament of excitability.
Pretty much.
They know what they're doing when it comes to chassis, though.
Yeah, the airline pilot approach to problems. Just stay cool. There is a look at the pace car. We talked about it briefly in the open, the Meyer-sponsored pace car, and you log on to Meyer.com, you can actually register to win in a drawing, and you will end up with that very car to be able to proudly parade around in and come to all of the ASA events next year. It would be very nice. Let's check in with Rob Albright.
As these guys circulate under caution, I think it's bears time to point out the fact that there is a rule here that's a little bit different than we've seen in past races this year so far. 3 pit stops are mandatory. Now, when I talked to both drivers and crew chiefs pre-race, I said, what does that mean in terms of strategy? Remember, you can only take tires or fuel on a given stop, but not both. Most of them indicated it probably would mean 2 sets of right side tires and fuel past the 100 lap mark. Several crew chiefs, however, said, no, we may come in early and take left. So guys will really be keeping an eye on that pit stop strategy.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We were talking to a couple of the crew chiefs as well, and they were saying that with this cool weather, if the car starts to get loose, the quickest trick to fix that is put lefts on because of the aggressive positive camber. It helps that outer edge of that left side tire dig in and give you a little bit more bite. So I think Rob absolutely is something we're going to have to be watching on. And keep in mind, he talked about 3 mandatory stops because it's 300 laps. If it's 250 laps or less, right, Jim?
Yep.
Then it would be 2. So this is our first time we've got 3 mandatory. Pit stop strategy has already proven to be everything, and it's more so today. Let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of the season, or the next upcoming few races at any rate. Cedar Rapids, always a great race, in Odessa, Missouri, and then a new venue at Mansfield, Jim.
Mansfield, Ohio is a very nice racetrack. A number of these teams tested here at Toledo last week, and then they went right over to Mansfield, Ohio, and they can't say enough nice things about that new facility.
We take a look at the rest of the season. If you're all familiar with the famous Labor Day racing that usually went on at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, that now has been moved to Elko Speedway, just south of the metro area. And, of course, we finished the season in Nashville, a new venue as well for the series, I believe. And
they're going back to the fairgrounds. It's going to be great.
Back to the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So that's good, and we get a report. Gary St. Amant still struggling. He's gone to the pits once again, so that engine mist continues to be problematic. Meanwhile, out of the final turn, we're back to green. Sorensen leads them down into turn 1. Sorensen driving the AC-Delco machine, and the interesting thing for Reed, he picked up a plum assignment as a guy by the name of Chip Ganassi has decided Reed's got a future and is helping him out just a little bit, and Reed's going to make the most of that.
That's going to be some testing involved this year, and maybe up to 5 Busch races next year, but his focus, he said, I'm relieved I can actually focus on ASA this year and next year. He just turned 18 over the winter.
And Reffner ducks underneath the 0.5 of Chris Wimmer, and there may have been a nudge there as 80 Brian Reffner. Oh, and then he gets real loose, going to throttle in the Menards Chevy. And the one thing for Reffner, he's a former champion, and we've been a little puzzled that he just hasn't been quite the player we may have expected this year.
Well, he came off an 8th place finish at Lanier, Georgia, and this racetrack is the site of his last ASA win. He's got 2 victories under his belt. In 1995, he won the championship, but he also won a grind. It was a 400-lapper here in the fall of 95 that helped him propel to the championship by pulling into victory lane.
Meanwhile, we're going to step back and do a little bit of an update on number 17. Mike Garvey, remember, started way back in 21st. He's only been able to make up about 3 spots, sitting in the 18th position right now as we hop on board with him. And the problem there is traffic. It's just so intense out there, and these early yellows. And Ken, he's been mired just a bit.
About it. Mike Garvey definitely struggling all weekend long as he had to go through the tech line twice. The fuel cell was a little bit too low the first time, so didn't make it through. They put him back in line, had to do it again. Then, of course, he failed post-qualifying tech, but he does have a very fast car. He's just going to have to be very smooth, very patient, and work his way up through this field.
Well, and that move up continues as he ducks underneath Stewart, picks up another spot. Garvey's starting to show the speed that he's had since the weekend started, and he qualified 3rd, faster every practice and very quick in qualifying, but it's a long way up to the front. And there are some fans loving the action here in Toledo, Ohio. You know, even if you turn your look backwards from the track, they're still racing here. The RC cars, they have a track set up here, and looks kind of familiar.
That's not you, Greg, crashing everybody, is it?
No, I would have flipped out of the track already. And look at this! Oh, Butch Miller was working him over. You can see him. He was down low trying to get the nose underneath the fender, and he got Sorensen just a little wide. That was enough.
Well, as crew chief Deon Deneau said, Butch Miller's going to let the youngster go, but now it's the time where Butch knows the tires are underneath him. Sorensen leading the first laps of the year should respect that. Made room and said, hey, we know it's a long race. Reed Soren is well beyond his years when it comes to maturity behind that race car steering wheel.
That's very true indeed. Meanwhile, we hop on board with the car of Robbie Pyle sitting in the third spot, and let's check in with Ken Stout.
Robbie Pyle had some problems after qualifying yesterday. Actually had to change the transmission. Of course, he had to get it cleared first through ASA after he did some work on the car after qualifying. It was, in fact, leaking, so they gave him a chance to put it in a new transmission. Looks like it's working out pretty well for him now.
Thanks, Ken. And in that shot, you can see Stephen Light, that car absolutely keeling over to the right with that broken sway bar problem. Look at that. I mean, that car is just in dire straits right now, and he's doing the smart thing, staying way low, just letting everybody race by him. But it's still busy. There's no question of that.
Trying to get valuable points as he was one of the preseason rookie favorites, and now working with Scott Hansen, you'd think they'd have a better run, but they've had a lot of struggles yet this year.
Kevin Sawinski sits in the fourth spot right now, and after the first couple races of the season, found himself in the points lead. And right now, Rob Albright, he's in pretty good attack mode position.
He's in fourth spot and is really in no danger of losing that position to fifth running Brian Reckner, but he's fallen about half straightaway behind Robbie Pyle in third. I just asked Mike Chappie, is he okay? Mike didn't even say anything. He just gave me the thumbs up, nodded his head, and he looked resolute. His driver's fine.
We don't want to second guess Sawinski. I mean, this guy has so much in terms of speed, technique, finesse, and he can obviously get the job done. And who knows? One of the things when we were talking to some of the crew chiefs earlier, they were a little concerned about tires because at 300 laps here, that's the longest race we've had this season. They said, we're not really sure what with the sudden change in temperature, no sun, it was sunny during the day yesterday, exactly what kind of life we're going to see on these tires.
And this being the first day race of the series, every other race has been under the lights on Saturday nights, and this is the first time at Toledo Speedway with the new BF Goodrich Traction TA radials, they're bringing the softer compound tires. So daytime racing with the softer compound tires, if it gets any warmer, the sun breaks through, we might see these tires grease up and a lot more tire changes than we've seen in the past.
Good point. Here's the battle for 12th. That's number 2, Chad Wood. He has got 0-4. Zach Niesner, who, as we talked about, dropped off a little bit from his 5th place start, but he's looking now to get a move on Wood, who seems to be running a little more comfortable in the high line. Right behind him is 44, Peter Casalino, and then there's a slew of cars behind them, led by the first Ford of Rick Beebe. There goes Niesner. Wood just too high. Can't get that car back down the low groove. 44 Casalino trying to work by him, and he got squirrely. Meanwhile, Miller now catching the back of the pack, working some serious traffic. He is right behind the number 22 Commonwealth Engineer Chevy of the rookie Brent Downey out of Avon, Indiana, trying to work by, does so, slides by around the outside. I believe that's Troy Wrangler, number 32, right behind him. And how unsettling for Gary St. Amant, even though he's had a lot of stops, this early in the race, have the leader coming up to put you yet another lap down.
32 race cars in this race, and Gary St. Amant making multiple pit stops, unable to pass. We saw the spark plug problems earlier, the wire being worn through or perhaps arcing, and they had a problem early and they tried to fix it.
08 Casey Smith, the tobacco is foul and sporting the new Warranty Gold sponsorship on his Chevy, smoking as he heads down to pit lane. 20 miles an hour the limit here because of the tight confines and also that lift coming into it. And he's in trouble.
And he had a great amount of steam coming into this race. 2 races ago, on the podium for the first time. The 18-year-old very excited about his chances with Robert Hamke. We talked about it earlier, but with that smoke, it appears that maybe a bit longer. And under green in an ASA race, these short track races, it just gets you down laps and you never seem to recover.
That's a good point. Butch Miller set the track record here, lapping at 16 seconds. And so you sit here for any longer than that, it's over.
You're trying to talk to me while I'm talking you down.
You can hear him chatting it up, trying to get something figured out there, but Casey Smith going to sit in the pits and obviously very upset with how that was running. Meanwhile, there's the radio for Travis Kittleson, and here is your top 10 with 51 of 300 laps complete here in Toledo. More great stock car action coming your way on Speed Live, once again from Lowe's in Charlotte, North Carolina, next Thursday at 9 p.m. ARCA stock car action. right here on Speed. See it all and don't miss it live next Thursday at 9 p.m. There's a look at Rick Beebe, and an interesting story for Rick. We've had this sort of contretemps all season long, the rookies and the veterans kind of disagreeing, but there's one guy, as Ken Stout found out earlier, that kind of helps the rookies maybe learn the ropes.
Rick Beebe, unfortunately, was collected between two rookies at Lanier, Dwayne Bouquet and Stephen Light. Well, they kind of crunched him. And to make things worse, well, it's Rick Beebe who holds a meeting each and every week with the rookies with the ASA to help them stay out of trouble. Unfortunately, it did not work at Lanier.
Well, you know, Ken, it's not always the rookies that cause a problem. Unfortunately, in that incident for me, it was. But we try to have meetings with the rookies to help them understand these are long races and to hold their aggressiveness down at least until the end of the race to where they can make a run at the end and have a good finish to where they can look good on TV. You know, that doesn't always work, though, but we try our best to keep him in check.
He's definitely a veteran and knows what he's talking about with 142 starts underneath his belt and 10 years of racing with the ASA and a former Rookie of the Year in 1995. He knows what it takes to win one of these races.
Boy, what a tremendous guide for the rookies as they step into this championship. By the way, we're clearly under yellow. A quick spin by Gary Sherman didn't really have any problems, but right before it, Casey Smith ducked down in the pits and Rob Albright's there.
We saw a lot of smoke on the right rear of the 06 Wardy Gold machine. We assumed it might be a problem with the brake rotor. That's what you're looking at right now. This is the brake rotor and hub assembly. This wasn't, in fact, the problem. The problem was a wheel bearing. However, this whole unit had to come off the race car and then be replaced after repairing and replacing that wheel bearing assembly.
Boy, how frustrating as he just sits, and now he is 8 laps down as a result of just sitting there because he lost a little bit of that time, certainly, when it was green. And you're hearing all this great radio chatter back and forth. I want to say thanks to Racing Electronics for providing those connects, the radios, and the patches for us so that we can eavesdrop, as it were. They also bring a trailer to all of the events, and a lot of the teams certainly utilize it. It's the official radio supplier here, and helps an awful lot of people out.
These guys wouldn't be able to get around this high bank half mile without spotters, radio communication. You just heard how vital it was. Casey Smith's team diagnosing over the radio. It saved a lot of time and effort to get the job done.
Speaking of the sounds, we're going to just lay out here on this restart. Let you enjoy the sounds of speed as we go green. Onto the front straight we go. Miller leads. You can see Robbie Pyle, number 63 in the Sicko Chevy, has moved around Sorensen. Picked up that second spot. Sorensen third. But in front of Pyle is number 7, Gary St. Amant, who, if he can get back around Butch, can regain the lead lap. And that's going to be tough duty the way Butch is hooked up.
Now we'll see how Robbie Pyle works with Gary St. Amant. St. Amant, we talked about his troubles early. He was the guy who led the most laps last race until he encountered problems. If they have it cleared up in that 17, the Janet King Chevy team could be as fast as the leaders. So again, you mentioned a very critical point. Get around Butch, get a caution, get back on the lead lap and go.
Yeah, that's everything right now. We ride on board with Robbie Pyle. That is Gary St. Amant, the Janet King Chevrolet up in front of him at this point. And just some great onboard shots here. Watching this battle, you can see Butch up front just a little bit. Meanwhile, here is the 05 of Chris Wimmer. He has got rookie points leader Travis Kittleson right behind him. Wimmer qualified 6th, runs in 6th. Ken Stout seems to be pretty consistent.
With Chris Wimmer, who practiced with David Adams a little bit earlier in the week, just so they could get their communication together. Of course, David Adams, new crew chief for him. He says Chris is a great guy, but he doesn't talk very much. He says it's hard to get something out of him. So they actually went just to work on communication. Let's go to Rob Allwright.
Travis Kittleson, another rookie driver who tested here at Toledo. He told me yesterday in the sunshine he wasn't really happy with his car because the weather conditions were dramatically different. Today it's exactly like it was when he tested here. He's all over the back bumper of Chris Wimmer's machine. He wants to get to the front.
We happened to bump into Kittleson just before the autograph session and said, how's it going? And he just smiled and said, I'm telling you, he said, we tested exactly what you said. We tested here, and I am convinced we have got a car that's perfect for today. And he has shown it as he is coming on big time and really making women's life miserable.
And Travis Kittleson has the point lead in the rookie standings. You mentioned Reed Sorensen, how strong he's running. That's the battle within, because it's a $50,000 payoff, and of course the title that carries on to resume building if you become the Rookie of the Year in ASA, like Johnny Benson Jr. has, like a lot of guys, including Jimmy Johnson, as we talked about.
And if you look behind these two, just showing his nose there in that yellow outlined car, that is Joey Miller, another rookie. He's only going to do 8 races this year, so we can take a solid run at the Rookie Championship next year. But Joey, who's starting to hound these two guys, has proven to be one of the fastest guys on the racetrack in the races he's run. We missed him the last couple of races, but he's back, and he is right there again. This is a great group.
That 15 car, the Greg Lip Chevy, Joey Miller, this is his 3rd race, 3rd straight top 10 qualifying effort under the direction of veteran crew chief Bon Sass, who led Joey Clanton's team to the championship last year.
We can keep Joey out of the wet grass. He's going to be a real...
He liked it, though.
Oh, that was a wild ride. He got out laughing about it, which was interesting. But Butch Miller, there's the margin. I mean, look at Butch starting to check this out just a little bit. Then behind him is the number 63 of Pyle, and then Sorensen and Sawinski. And they've had their moments. They've had a little bit of history here.
Late in the going at Lanier, Sawinski was involved, Reed Sorensen was involved, Casey Smith snuck past, and then Mike Garvey. It was a cluster of 4 cars that were running very close together. We'll see how Sawinski deals with Sorensen, if there's any sort of, hey, remember me, remember Lanier? It was only a couple weeks ago. I think they're going to race him pretty clean at this point, though.
I would think so as well, and certainly I think both of these guys realize the value. You got to get to the end of the race, and obviously Sorensen has a lot to stay clean for these days, and Sawinski's a veteran. He knows how to play the game. But right now, up front, it is Butch Miller, and he is opening it up here at Toledo Speedway. During the autograph session, local recording favorites Rebel Heart entertained the crowd here, and I'll tell you what, they laid down some serious Roadhouse blues. And we are under caution here. That is Brent Downey, the number 22. And he's obviously in the wall. It was a big moment for him, but before that, the number 25 of Mike Cope is slowing down, and watch what happened here. Here's Downey, watch this. Back end steps out, Jimmy just couldn't save it.
No, and the way he got in there, the radial tires, I was told that they just take a set, and as he spun across the racetrack, they bit and put him to the fence.
Now, just before that, we were looking at Mike Cope. Watch what happened with him. That is a veteran save right there. Let her come back and hang in there for you. Now, we have completed 83 laps, and a lot of the crew chiefs we were talking to said that would be close to, if we got about 100 laps in, somewhere in there, they'd be looking for stops. They weren't kidding. Look at the field coming in. First to Rob Albright.
Kevin Sawinski running in the 3rd position is on pit road. The number 1 Great Clips Chevrolet, right side tires, according to crew chief Mike Chappie. A chassis adjustment as well. He'll shortly go out. Also, and right in front of him, Travis Kittleson having some trouble down to Ken.
Butch Miller comes in, hits the mark perfectly. These guys are working on a pit stop that will hopefully take no longer than 7 to 8 seconds. All of them over here doing a great job. 5 guys around right side tires on, and Butch Miller does not get out before Robbie Pyle.
It looked to me for just a second they had a little hang up on that right front, and it was, I think, just enough that Butch couldn't get the clutch drop before Pyle, and that line you saw, that's the out. And it looked like Pyle was just able to get his nose across that first, and Butch, of course, being the veteran he is, said, I don't want a penalty on it. I think the car's good enough I can get back by Robbie if I need to. But everybody making these little adjustments, Jim, and it's amazing what just a slight twist on one of the adjustments could do to make these cars just dial up.
And it's a narrow pit road, and as they make those adjustments, there's an option of fuel or tires.
There you go. There's Pyle, there's Butch Miller, there's Sorensen. Now we want to show you a replay of Butch leaving the pit. Watch right here. Everything goes, car drops. Now watch behind Butch.
On the left-hand side of the screen, we see a car pinned against the wall right here. That's Kevin Sawinski. Look how narrowly he escapes Reed Sorensen's hit. That's how tight it is down there. And Kevin Sawinski had a point in the driver's meeting this morning. He said, hey, what can we do about getting out of the pits and how tight they are? He did the wise move. He knows how wide that car is. He was at the wall, so he wouldn't get hit by Sorensen on the exit.
Well, again, veteran savvy playing a serious role here. And when we were looking at that replay of Downey's incident, the car got sideways. And you pointed out, Jim, having been here before, this is my first visit, that when you look at this track, you've got the inner white line, essentially right there. Then you've got stripes and stripes, and you get outside of that second row of stripes in the corners, the track actually flattens out a little bit. The minute Downey's right rear tire crossed that threshold, it just sucked him right into the wall.
Flattens out a bit up there, and as high banked and as fast as this track is, it'll really grab you and pull you in, as we saw Brent Downey in only his second start of the season get the wall.
Meanwhile, there is the 30 of Travis Kittleson. And he has been, well, he was running well. It's dropped to 14th. Let's check in again with Rob Albright.
Travis Kittleson was having an uneventful run, but it got eventful very quickly. Gary Crooks, the crew chief on pit road. What happened?
We didn't have any miscues. The Bobfield Chevrolet Monte Carlo's been a little tight all night. And if anybody's going to beat Butch, you're going to have to do some work here. So we made some major changes, see if we can't get it freed up. Be around at the end of the race with these guys.
So you sacrifice a little in the short term for the long-term gain. Back up to the booth.
Well, and long term is the key. This is our longest race of the season right now. The stop cost him some track position back to the 14th spot is where he sits right now. Meanwhile, we go back to green. There's a little traffic out in front. Lap traffic, everybody's going to have to deal with it at this point, but there's the new leader, number 66. The 6'6", I think that's why he carries that number, Boris Yurkovich. And this guy is just a great kid, but is he fast? And he's been right there in the rookie chase. A couple of the other guys maybe have made a little bit more splashy news, but Boris has just been clipping up some points, and he got some great track position by staying out.
And again, we mentioned the strategy of pitting, when to pit for fuel, when to pit for tires. You have to do one or the other. Boris Yurkovich, you can tell by the big yellow stripe on the hood, he came in earlier, so didn't have to pit this cycle through. So the guys that finally pitted, including former race leader Butch Miller, are back 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in the rundown.
Actually, Ken Stout has spent some time with Boris this weekend. Ken?
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, no question about it. It seems to struggle in qualifying, as once again they did not do a very good job, but he gets very, very racy. He definitely does a good job once we get on a long run. And once again this weekend I said, do you feel comfortable in the car? And they basically said not during qualifying, but once we get a bunch of cars around us, we're ready to go.
Well, and go he is right now. I mean, he's got the lead. He's got the 33 of Greg Stewart right behind him right now, the Screaming Eagle Motorsports Chev. In fact, now closing up on Yurkovich at this point, racing for Phil Hines Racing. Oh, Stewart showing the nose a little bit. We're going to drop back. There is the 63 of Robbie Pyle, who, of course, ducked into the pits, came out in front of Miller. And here goes Stewart. Stewart underneath Yurkovich. Drag race down into turn 3, inside line. Looks like it's going to pay off. But you were telling me earlier that Yurkovich, the secret to his success at his home track was he owned the outside groove.
Yeah, Ileana Motor Speedway, where this series will visit in September, was his stomping grounds last year, producing a championship run for his efforts. And he said, man, I can't wait to get back there, as we heard in the very beginning of the broadcast. And he's used to hanging it out a little bit, running it with some of the best short track racers that race at a local level are all in the Chicagoland area. So he's got some great proving grounds and training grounds that he's proved to be successful on. So looking at Boris, solid run for him.
You bet. Meanwhile, here's the 63 of Robbie Powell. We're going to go on board the Citgo Chevy as he's trying to get around the 98 of Doug Stevens, the Conquest Tree Service car. And by the way, happy birthday to Mr. Powell's car owner's son. Having a birthday here this weekend. Congratulations, Jamie. Way to go. Another year around, always a good thing. And now trying to get around is Pyle, and this is a pass for position. Stevens sits in third, Pyle wants by. Pyle, of course, cycled back due to that pit stop, and right now Stevens has given him absolutely nowhere to go right now. And we've been keeping an eye on one Mr. Mike Garvey today, and he continues to try and move up. He's played some pretty decent pit strategy, Jim. He has now jumped to 13.
And he and Travis Kittleson there, we mentioned major adjustment for Kittleson. Now Garvey has to play that pit strategy to gain track position. Looks like it's paying off for him as he's able to keep it down and work under Cleaver here behind Kittleson.
Well, he's used that strategy to success before, and now he's going to move underneath Cleaver. Oh, so close as they work through turn 4 here at Toledo Speedway. But Greg Stewart doing the job up front. Yurkovich second, Stevens, Pyle, and Butch Miller in fifth. Well, I tell you, they do love their racing. I mean, every year in the previous 16, it's been an SRO crowd here, and it is once again today. There is your leader, number 33 of Greg Stewart. And Rob, this guy has had great qualifying efforts. He leads here. He just hasn't been able to get the results yet this year.
And you know, he was downright negative this morning, Greg. Qualified 20th. I said, how's the car? He said, terrible. Then he kind of grinned at me and he said, you know, Murphy's Law is sometimes when you don't qualify good, you race good. Wow, did he know what he was talking about?
I guess so, because he went around Yurkovich and he is just checking out a la Butch Miller a little bit earlier in this race when he was in the lead. He's getting a little help because that pack of cars, I think, has been held up trying to work through some a little bit slower traffic and just some plain traffic right now. But Greg Stewart doing the job in that Screaming Eagle Motorsport Chevy has opened up one of the bigger margins we have seen right now. Meanwhile, going to just sort of drop back into the pack just a little bit. Look at this battle right here. There's number 1, Sawinski, who finds himself now in 5th. Just got underneath the 98 of Stevens. Trap Stevens up high right behind him, one of the true veterans. 53 is Glenn Allen Jr. trying to work underneath Stevens as well. Looks like he may get that one done, the Hawk Motorsport Chevy. And now Sawinski trying to go out and around Greg Williams in the number 10. And he's bringing, again, Glenn Allen with him.
Greg Williams, the blue 10, back in his very own car. I said, how's it doing? He said, man, it feels real comfortable because I'm back in my own car. He borrowed one from Ken Causey to finish the season while his car was being repaired.
44, Cozzolino gets around Williams as well. Behind him, I think, is Mike Garvey as we go on board with Garvey. So Garvey is knocking on the door of the top 10. Right now, Cozzolino 10th and Garvey from 21st is there. He drops low, gets the nose underneath, picks up the throttle, forces his way in. Cozzolino gives him room, and Garvey just edges ahead, picks it up. He is now 10th. And I almost have to wonder the way that he could get that car to turn down low coming out of there. We were talking earlier this morning, and Mike said, I like to drive a slightly loose car. It's no surprise we've seen him driving slightly with abandon all season long. But he said, I like it a little loose, and I think it allows him to make this kind of a move and get the car turned down. Stevens came down on him, and they touched. Stevens floats wide. Hope he can save it. Meanwhile, Garvey slides through now. That should give him the 9th spot. And up in front is the 80 of Refner.
This is the aggression we've seen with Mike Garvey, one of the fastest race cars all season long, just producing 1 victory last race at Lanier, overcoming that setback, getting, hey, there's too much fuel pressure. We tried to fix it. It was a thing we couldn't avoid. ASA put him back. They had to take a provisional to get in the race because their time was disallowed after qualifying due to fuel pressure, excess of 62 pounds of pressure.
Boy, that car is magic coming off the turns. It is going anywhere he wants it right now, and it gives him a great drive out of the corners. He just gets enough, gets that nose along the inside up of the fender, and it is enough for him to move. Meanwhile, Reed Sorensen, who was running so strong early, has not been able to stick with that group up front. He is now, Ken Stout, fallen back to 7th.
Jody Wilkerson, crew chief for Reed Sorensen. You guys started off really hot. It looks like he fell back just a little bit.
Yeah, those sides tightened it up just a little more than we really wanted, but we may try to make a pedal bar adjustment here on the next stop. But we'll just have to see what happens, see how the times fall.
Let's go back to you guys.
Well, Reed is a very, very talented young driver. We'll see what he can do. Meanwhile, look at this. Number 33, Stewart, thought he had it pretty easy for a while, but in his mirrors, he sees nothing but green Timberwolf, and behind him comes the red of Robbie Pyle. Stewart now is feeling the meaning of the word heat.
Now, Greg Stewart did pit earlier in the race, and just about lap 84 is when Butch Miller made his first trip down pit road, so they've now gotten back to the cars that stayed out under the last caution.
Putting some pressure on here, and Pyle coming with him. Miller drops low, and Stewart couldn't get it turned down to the apex. Miller's got the line. Just gonna ride inside right now. Now, moves ahead. Stewart gets freight train. He cannot close the door, and Pyle follows Miller through. Pyle a little bit loose, trying to pitch it down tight, but he hangs on to it, and Robbie Pyle slides through. But look at the margin now between those three and the pack in 4th right now, led by the 53 of Glenn Allen Jr. These 3 guys have themselves a pretty healthy margin.
And Butch Miller, again, telling everybody, I've got the fastest car here. I'm going to prove it by getting past Robbie Pyle and Greg Stewart in quick fashion. Now we see the bunch packing up as they get working through the 32 car of Troy Langren, who's a bit off the pace today.
That blue car right in the middle there is the 29 of Sorensen, and right behind him is the number 1 of Kevin Sawinski. He's got Garvey behind him. Garvey going to take the run, and and Sawinski fends him off. Rob Albright.
He's really been slipping backwards. He's lost spots to both Glenn Allen Jr. and Reed Sorensen since the restart. Mike Chappie, is everything still going according to plan?
Well, it really isn't. If it was going according to plan, we'd be leading this thing and driving away, but we got some peculiar problems with the car, kind of stuff that's hard to fix in one shot, but we're into our fuel window now, so we're going to use the extra guys to make some more adjustments.
Rookie driver and a rookie crew chief, guys. Nobody's panicking yet.
Well, Jim, if you're going to make a plan, I guess why not plan for the best?
Yeah, they've only won one championship together, Rookie of the Year together. Mike Chaffee was also a championship crew chief, you know, so I'd say it's a pretty good bet.
And look at this, two veterans doing it beautifully. That's Mike Garvey right there with Sawinski on his outside, and they ran a full lap and a half side by each, never touched. And now they're coming up on the 0-9 of J.C. Beatty. And Beatty's gonna, well, stays low, tries to let him go, but Garvey got through a little bit cleaner. He opens the margin up a little bit, and now our leaders, Butch Miller and Robbie Powell respectively, have opened the margin up over number 33, Greg Stewart in third. Can't get enough stock car racing, not a problem. We have more stock car action. This NASCAR Busch qualifying coming up from Lowe's Motor Speedway, live next Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. NASCAR Busch qualifying. Watch it all right here on Speed. We are under a caution. Pace car is out, and as you can see, we have a couple of leaders that look like they'd be ducking down into the pits. But first, here's a look at why we are under caution. Watch Ryan Hemphill. Boom.
Got to the inside of Doug Stevens, thought he was clear, and caught the grass on the apron and spun him up the racetrack.
Trapped Joey Miller right behind him, and Joey got away with it clean. Hemphill took him a while to get going again. He may have lost a lap. Meanwhile, we have a slew of top players ducking down to the pits. Garvey among them, who has been really a tremendous man on the move. Here comes Butch Miller. Comes to a stop, going to make an adjustment to the track bar. And Glenn Allen Jr. in as well. He's been quietly working his way to the front, came in fourth.
He's had a great run. He's had a top 5 car every race.
Meanwhile, let's check in with Ken Stout.
And a little bit of splash here. I've got to tell you, this thing's taking a little bit longer than it should have taken, and now they're changing a tire. That's not a good sign. They're taking the tire off. Of course, they took on fuel, but they are not allowed to change tires and take on fuel, so there is a problem in the left rear of Glenn Allen's car. Once again, bad luck rears its ugly head with a new sponsorship on the side of this car. GL Now's looking to add a little structure, as he's a structural building erector, and I have no idea what's going on here underneath that left rear. We'll try to talk to him and figure it out, but in the meantime, of course, everybody else has come in here, added fuel, or did a stop and go and took care of one of those pit stops. Guys?
Well, Ken, the guy in the gun there is not happy. Put the tire back on, then just sort of made that dismissive gesture. What?
It looks like the left rear is not on straight. I got to tell you, it looks like it's cocked, or it looks like it's a little bit crooked as I just set this car back down.
That's what the crew members noticed. The fuel was going in, but again, he has some veteran crew guys, the Cincinnati gang. They said this thing doesn't look right. And now it may be an early end, unfortunately, for Glenn Allen Jr., a 6-time winner here in ASA.
Worked his way up into fourth, and then to have it all go away. Meanwhile, we hop on board with Mike Garvey. Nice and slow under caution here. He sits in the 6th spot right now.
We're wide open front and
Mike Garvey, well, guess what? His most recent win put him in some pretty august territory, and he's having some fun with it.
No, I said the car in front of us and behind us.
Veteran campaigner Mike Garvey finally got off the schneid in his last outing at his home track in Lanier, Georgia. Win number 14 after waiting since Lakeland in 2001. He also became ASA's newest racing millionaire. Mike, what did the win mean, and how does it feel to be a millionaire?
I'll tell you, Rob, the win was everything to this WJP Motorsports team. It took us a year to get it. We've worked hard, and all of our hard work has finally paid off. And to get off number 13 is pretty good. Hopefully 15 doesn't take as long as 14 did. And you know, I always wanted to be a millionaire, so at least we can say we're millionaires now, but I don't know where all the money went.
Mike, you might want to turn around, I think. I know.
Jim, I guess the bigger question here is, did Rob Albright just date himself by using the phrase schneid?
Schneid? No, I've said that before.
Well, look at you. No, just kidding. Mike Garvey sits here, and he has had himself a very solid run up into 6th. Now here's Hemphill, who sort of got caught out. He's going to make a move down to pits, but he lost a lot of ground. doing a big lurid spin trying to get going. Let's check back in with Rob Albright, who I hate to throw it down to him after what I just said.
You know, Howie Leddow is the Dean of ASA Rookie Crew Chiefs. His struggles continue with Ryan Hemphill. Howie, what happened and why the look of frustration?
I don't know what happened there. We were going underneath the car, and the car went around. We flat spotted the right side tires. We're coming back in, make a chassis adjustment here. It seems as we're at the back of the pack.
All right, Howie, we'll go back to work, as will we. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Rob. And you can see they're really making a change on that track bar, but he got a big spin, and then he ended up doing an inadvertent donut that really cost him some time as it dropped him down into the grass. Meanwhile, we're getting back to go again. And, well, Gary St. Amant doing what he needed to do. For a brief moment, he showed in the lead, but now Butch Miller is going to lead him up to the line. He is, in fact, the leader with Sorensen right behind him, then Pyle, then Stewart, then Garvey. What a tremendous, really a tremendous drive by Mike Garvey, and what a great job once again by the crew.
And think about it, Dion Deneau is the car chief in a championship team. Now we've got Reed Sorensen working with a two-time championship effort with Buzz Gebbins' team. They are working and racing on pace with Butch Miller. It says a lot about the two veteran teams leading a very veteran driver and a rookie in Sorensen in the 29.
And let's not forget about a guy by the name of Robbie Pyle here. I mean, he had a pole earlier this year at Houston, and he is showing a great turn. That car is working beautifully down low. Sorensen can stay with him, but he can't get back down to do anything about it. Here are the speeds at the line. They qualified at 112. They're still running, at least at the front, well over an average of 105 miles an hour. For a half-mile track, this thing is quick.
And Brett Rowe is having a good run. We just saw him get a little bit quicker than Robbie Pyle that lap, but Pyle was able to pull underneath Reed Sorensen and make the pass, more importantly for second, than maybe setting the fastest lap of the race right now.
Absolutely. Boy, you can see Butch so close to catching the grass on the infield. Just puts that car in such precise lines, but Robbie Pyle right now seems to have the same amount of speed. But where we see Butch really come on, it looks like you get 5, 6, 7 laps into a run. That's when Butch's car really seems to just hit its form, and that's when we've seen him gap the field a little bit.
Now, Butch Miller has had great success here. He's only won one race, but the amount of time he's been here, the number of laps he's led, it's amazing that he hasn't won every race he's run because he has had a dominant race car here at Toledo Speedway.
When I was talking to Garvey, he said a lot of these tracks, he said if you start with a car neutral, it tends to tighten up and starts to bind up, and then you lose a little bit of your momentum because the engine just doesn't get enough pull off the corners. He said you got to start a little loose and wait for it to go neutral. Butch seems to have some magic, because that car just always looks like it's on rails, but his magic is, at least in my opinion, and you correct me if what, but mid-corner speed. Nobody seems to be as fast in the middle of a corner as Butch without throwing it in. Oh, look at this now. Pyle trying to go outside, but we're yellow. We have a yellow. It is the number 27 of Brett Rowe you were just talking about, who had a very quick lap, apparently exceeded it.
And now he's got the slowest lap.
Found the limit and just stepped over it a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately for Brett, he's just 2 starts in ASA. His last, I believe, coming here 1 year ago at Toledo Speedway later in the season. And for Brett, trying to get some valuable track time, trying to get things worked out for his ASA hopes, and perhaps a Rookie of the Year run in the near future.
Well, 27, Brett Rowe from Barbersville, West Virginia, finds himself stopped on the track, the concession stands, doing a brisk business here at Toledo Speedway. Nothing like racetrack food. There's just something about it. Welcome back. We continue to run under caution, and the problem is the number 27 of Brett Rowe is blocking pit lane, so nobody can get in. Maybe good news for us. Jim Trado, you're in contact with Butch Miller.
We're going to jump on Butch's radio. Butch Miller, Jim Trado in the Speed Channel booth, wondering what your team will do to adjust on that race car. Looks awfully strong.
It's pretty strong. The biggest problem we've got is I'm a little bit loose on the way into the corner. And, we need long greens.
Now, Butch, you've had an opportunity to race with Reed Sorensen. You think Robbie Pyle now is your most immediate threat?
Robbie was a little quicker than I wanted him to be. Of course, I like it when we could run away.
10-4. Thanks, Butch.
Well, Butch was certainly making an escape early in the action, and now the pits should be open. Timing absolutely beautiful as Butch will be able to duck in. He's got Pyle, he's got Sorensen, Garvey, Sawinski, Kittleson. The whole slew are going to be ducking into the pits, and they just got the number 27 there of Brett Rowe moved out of the pit entry lane in time, and looks like everybody's moving in, and there is that big kick, that drop, as you can almost get air if you come in too fast, thus the very slow speed limit here in the pits. And everybody heading in, all of the top players, as we have just gone by the halfway point. Let's check in with Rob Albright.
Well, Robbie Pyle is coming in. It's fuel only. I was hoping to have an opportunity to talk to Bill McGowan, the crew chief, but he's going to be very busy overseeing this pit stop from atop the box. Remember, tires or fuel. This time for Robbie Pyle, it's fuel only, Ken.
Butch Miller, of course, getting in here, getting left side tires. Right behind him, though, Rick Beebe had to angle in, still has the back of the car sticking out, and it looks like Butch Miller will get out cleanly. They did have a spring spacer sitting on the wall, but did not elect to use it. Guys?
Thanks, Ken. Miller does get out right behind the 63 Robbie Pyle, but in front of Sawinski. So considering that Pyle did just fuel and that they actually did tires as well, that was a great stop for the Timberwolf crew. And the interesting thing is, as I had heard earlier, if the car's loose, a quick fix is go to left side tires. How did Butch Miller win Lakeland? He only got to change lefts. What did he do here? Change lefts after telling us he's loose. These guys are on it.
Indeed, and to watch these guys work and how methodical they are, and adding that second team, it's going to be another opportunity for John DL, another teammate for Butch Miller, to work into the fold. He's been working with on some super late model stuff. So Butch Miller, very involved with SS Racing. They've done a great job in growing that team from one car to perhaps three by the end of 2004.
Got to look here at Brian Reffner, 4 starts this season. 8th is his best finish. He is a former champion, but we just haven't seen the form from him that we would have expected this year.
1995 ASA Series champion Brian Reffner returns to the ASA in his Menards Morton Salt Chevrolet after an 8-year hiatus in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He also has a brand new crew chief, an Australian Walter Giles. Brian, is it tougher than it was in 95? And tell us about the new crew chief.
Well, seeing as how we didn't come out like a ball of fire, I'd have to say yes. The competition's really good. I mean, there's a lot of champions running in the series right now, so that alone makes it tough. And everybody's coming around. The engine programs are really evened everybody up, so it depends on your setup and setup alone. So, that was one of the keys to me getting Walter on board, because you got to be on your setup. And so far, it's been a big help. It's a lot of confidence for me, and we're going to have a great future together.
Brian's last win in his champion season in 95, it was a 400-lap race then. It's 300 today. He's 8 years older. It'll probably just seem like 400.
And with Brian every weekend thus far, his dad, Tom Reffner, a veteran, legendary short track racer in Wisconsin.
Well, always nice to have the family, especially when they can give you some great input here. Brian Reffner looking for it to come around just a little bit. Once again, we want to remind you, as the pace car is coming in, log on to Meyer.com. You can enter to win that very pace car. What a great prize that would be. We are about to go green. 71, Brett Sontag, the green machine, out in front of the pack right now, is your race leader due to the pit stop cycles. And there it is. We're back to racing action. 156 laps complete. We start 157 of 300. And by the way, at the halfway point, Butch Miller was the leader. He gets the B.F. Goodrich halfway award. So congratulations to Butch. Meanwhile, there's the injured Davin Seitz, or the car anyway. Davin Seitz is a little injured. And 66 of Boris Yurkovich right there. But Sontag finds the lead. All those people chasing him right now are down a lap. And then next up is the 04 of Zach Niesner. And I think Zach is also playing the game in terms of some track position here with those pit stops.
And Niesner just got blown by a couple of guys named Butch Miller and Robbie Pyle, who shared the point all afternoon long. Robbie Pyle leading Butch Miller now through as they both dispatched of Niesner quickly.
Coming up on Beatty right now, working the outside. Beatty lets them go. He's just not as quick as he'd like to be today. There's Pyle, there's 52 Miller, there's Niesner. As they continue to fight up through the pack, they've got to get by a little bit more traffic. You can see it. We're on board with Pyle, 2-lap cars, and then your leader, Sontag. But Sontag is, in a sense, out of sequence on stops. That's why he's leading. But we've seen some serious speed from Sontag before.
He's a serious racer. He's won a Grundy County Speedway Championship. We mentioned Boris Yurkovich coming out of the Chicagoland area. Now the cross flags because, Greg, the rule in ASA, 5 consecutive green flag laps after halfway if it is under caution at the midpoint.
All right, well, so it's Brett Sontag then who actually gets the award. So congratulations to Brett. The B.F. Goodrich Halfway Leader Award, the B.F. Goodrich Tires Halfway Leader Award for Brett Sontag, driving the Terry's Auto Group Chevrolet. Congratulations, Brett. Boy, timing is everything, isn't it?
And he's in a race car that was formerly owned and driven by Joey Clanton at Steve Dale Motorsports. This car, I asked him, is this the same car that Joey won with last year here at Toledo? He said, no, it's a second car, but we really feel comfortable here at Toledo on the high banks.
Well, they probably have a little trick setup information from that they can throw on the car. Meanwhile, the crowd continues to enjoy a very interesting race here. The Glass City 300 here in Toledo, Ohio. We'll be right back. They come in all ages. That is a future race fan, maybe a future champ. Gotta love it here in Toledo. We are under caution, and there's part of the reason. Well, there's 2/3 of the reason. There's another car involved. It was a 3-car incident here. Joey Miller, 33, is Greg Stewart, and the other car involved, the number 5 of Rick Beebe. And let's go back and show you what happened here, Jim.
We see the 33 spinning. Beebe, a very hard hit in that blue car, and then Joey Miller just forced up high, getting around Brian Reffner on a blocked racetrack.
Yeah, Reffner almost got caught up. He was actually a little bit of a rub there, and then he was able to continue on. But, boy, Beebe hit hard, and then Miller got into him. And they got Miller's car backed up, but now it won't go forward. There's Beebe's car off to the left, and the 33 is Stewart. And for Greg Stewart, he's got to be so frustrated. Another great run going away. Let's check in with Rob Albright.
This incident happened directly in front of Joey Miller's crew chief, Bond Suss. Bond, what did you see?
Just looked like the 533, a couple other cars just got a little sideways and real pack race, and they had nowhere to go, and guys got turned around, and we ended up not being able to get slowed up enough to get in. It looks like maybe just an upper on the left front broke, so we'll try to get the Great Clip Chevy back out. The guys did a great job this weekend, and we're just trying to stay out of trouble, but just got the bad luck bug here.
Joey Miller hopes to run for Rookie of the Year in 04, just trying to get in his licks this season. He got him today. Guys?
Yeah, he sure did. And I'll tell you, he's got all the speed in the world, and if he can just get a little luck and tame down that aggression just a little bit, it's going to be really strong indeed. Meanwhile, we've been talking a little bit about tires and how they've been playing the role. Butch went to left's last stop. Ken, what's he saying?
Ken Twining standing down here, of course, the tire man for Butch Miller, and he uses some technology that wasn't available a few years ago. This is a barometer, and they measure the heat in the tires, and of course they measure it in a few different places on the tires. I'm sure you guys remember years ago they used to measure it with their hands. Literally put their hand on the tire through different sections of the tire to determine how the car was reacting. If the car is too hot, in other words, if it has too much camber in the right front, they'll take a little bit of camber out of it and take a little bit of temperature out of that right front tire.
Just measuring those heats across the board there could give you so much information on setup. Meanwhile, number 63, the Sicko Chevy of Robbie Pyle, sits in the second spot right now and just getting the obligatory check after a hit by the ambulance. Meanwhile, we're on board with Robbie Pyle. We're going to chat with Robbie Pyle. Jim?
Robbie Pyle, Jim Trado and Speed Channel, wondering about your chances today. We talked to Butch Miller earlier. He'd like long runs. What is your car setup telling you?
Well, it looks like long runs are our deal here today, too. We just put fuel in it for the last time, and she freed it up a little bit, but as the fuel runs out, she'll get tighter. So, I don't know. The old guy behind me is pretty tough. We'll see what we got.
Robbie, will you come down pit road again?
We don't know. That could be it, but we'll see how things play.
Question regarding the tires. The medium compound, a softer tire than normally run here at Toledo. How has your tire wear been?
They say it's really good. We've just been kind of riding around, seeing what everybody's got. They'll make it the rest of the way.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
Well, there's the strategy, obviously, at this stage, and the tires are good. They've got fuel on board. It'll just come down to what the car does in the last few laps, but a lot of people like what's happening. Robbie Pyle, Butch Miller, and Munna, but Sontag leads. For all your racing news, if you don't watch all of the events live flag to flag, don't worry. Coming up tonight, Speed News, the NASCAR edition at 7 p.m., Speed News Sunday at 7:30 p.m., and of course, NASCAR Victory Lane, where we'll update you on everything that involved the Winston at 8 p.m. And remember, the guy who won the Winston, named Jimmy Johnson, came right through ASA. That's all tonight, right here on Speed. Let's check in with Rob Albright, who's with Greg Stewart.
Well, just in the last race, Greg Stewart qualified well and had his race end early. This morning he wasn't very confident, started deep in the pack, 20th, ran to the front, led a number of laps. Greg, I know you can't tell me what happened. You asked me, but from your perspective, what'd you see, what'd you feel?
It just looks bad on the whole ASA race, and I hate it for Steve Dell and the guys trying to get this race in quick, but it's just a case of me being in the wrong place at the wrong time again. I had a fast car, led part of the race. We pitted, worked back through the field, and I mean, I hate to say it, he's a good friend of mine, but I think Peter Cozzolino caused another one that is what I'm hearing anyway from everybody around, that he got into J.C. Beatty, and I was running side by side with Rick Beebe. and we just had a good race going on. And when I think Peter got into JC and they checked up and got sideways, I got in the back of Peter, and me and Rick just got together and slid to the wall. That's all I know. I'd have to watch it to see. But just a bad deal with me being in the wrong place at the wrong time again. If anybody out there knows any way to send me any good luck, please do. I'll be grateful for it.
Another great run, cut short. Ken?
Rick Beebe here, actually sitting down. It looks like you hurt your ankle there a little bit. You know, this is what we talked about earlier in the show. You speak with the rookies about this. Even Steve Dale, the president of ASA, had a meeting with all the drivers here today about not getting into an incident too quickly, especially with 300 laps to go.
Well, I think everybody did a good job. You know, unfortunately, that wasn't a rookie that caused that incident. It's a guy that every one of us has a problem with every week. And I guess we're all going to have to get together and do something about it. You know, it's unfortunate it has to happen, but it always happens. I hate racing with a guy. Everybody here hates racing with him, and I think everybody knows who we're talking about. I'm not going to name any names, but we'll be back, get the other car out and bring it to Cedar Rapids. And, you know, I want to thank Don and Marilyn Finetti and Dave Collis for allowing us a chance to race. We'll come back and get him at Cedar Rapids.
Rick Beebe keeping a very cool head here, and we'll have to nurse an ankle, but he'll be okay, guys.
Well, Ken, that level of experience. Now, here's a replay of it, and a lot of it has already developed. But there is, I don't see Cozzolino in the shot at this point. He's already through it, but that doesn't mean, I suppose, that there wasn't that little bit of a bump and gun with Beatty, and that's what everybody checked up and caused it. So we'll have to find out. There is the number 44 of Cozzolino. Car looks fairly unmarked at least from this angle, but I don't know. Oh, there's a little bit of a wrinkle at the back.
Just the left rear bumper cover has some damage on it. And again, we couldn't tell from that shot what happened, but as Greg Stewart said, he didn't know. So
yeah.
as the check, I mean, 110, 112 miles an hour average speed, they're hauling into turn one with a great amount of speed.
And the interesting thing for Stewart is twice now he has had tremendous runs, either qualifying and got caught up in something, or here, as Rob talked to him, he didn't have a great car in qualifying, but they played the strategy. It was awfully quick, and it goes away. The frustration so evident. Let's go back down to Rob, though, who's standing by with the crew for the number 44 car of Cozzolino.
And I think based on what's been said, guys, and what you've seen and watching the monitors, it's time for a second opinion. Everybody seems to be quick to throw Peter Cozzolino under the bus on this one. What does his crew chief, Dick Hader, think about it?
It wasn't our doings at all. The McDonald's drive-through Monte Carlo. JC was high in 4. We tried to pass him going up through 4, and he put us in, or crowded us. So we backed off, went down straightaway. Peter was going to go underneath him, and Beatty checked up. We checked up, and BB got into us. It was a racing accident. Nobody done it on purpose. That's the way it goes. The McDonald's Monte Carlo is running good, handling good. We're going to go for the end and see where we finish.
Guys?
Thanks, Rob. There's a look at BB's car that's obviously done, it looks like, for the day. And he's out, so he's done. There's Cozzolino sits in ninth, so he's had a pretty effective day. We're coming back to green. Sounds of speed coming at you, Joy. I think you could have got a one-ply piece of tissue paper between Sontag and the wall on that last pass by the speed shot.
Brett Sontag in the green 71, the Terry's Automotive Chevy, now getting challenged by Robbie Pyle, and we saw how strong he was and how much he had to string it out. He's got older tires than Pyle, and Pyle's able to take advantage to the bottom.
Oh, but look at Sontag. He gets a good run off that turn. Nose is back ahead. Pyle right there. Oh, Sontag now floats out a little high. Ooh, so close. Pyle's still there. And still, Sontag runs it tough. Now he loosens up a little bit around the outside, but it gives him a great exit again. Boy, that car is unwinding off of that turn beautifully, coming out of 4. And Pyle, I think, is just amazed right now that he can't put this one to bed. The problem for Sontag is going to be that Miller, Sorensen, and Sawinski are queuing up behind. Look at this great onboard shot. Now Pyle finds it, noses ahead. Can he make it stick? You heard the spotter. He's clear. And he has finally made the pass, Rob Albright.
You know, guys, I may have a clue as to why he had so much difficulty getting by Brent Sontag. I just talked to his crew chief, Bill McGowan. Bill said they've already made 3 stops. I thought they were good to go. Bill said, we'd like a 4th. We really need more right-side tires. Guys?
He was fuel only last caution. I stand corrected on that.
Well, and when you chatted with him, he said, I don't know. We're going to have to see. We could go to the end. They had their 3 stops. But we find out now that may not do it. Miller second now. Sorensen third. Sawinski trying to get by Sontag. He finally noses by. That now is your top 5 right there. And Robbie Pyle, who sat on the pole at Concord, is out front here in Toledo. Welcome back. It's the Glass City 300, 5th round of the ASA National Championship. Greg Creamer along with Jim Trado, Rob Albright, Ken Stout. Great to have you with us. We have a great race unfolding here. Robbie Pyle, the Citgo Chevy number 63, leads it. Number 52, the amazing Butch Miller in the Timberwolf Chevy sits in second. They've opened the gap up over 29. Sorensen in third. But while we were in break, we saw this off just literally through the window here. Watch this pass. As you watch 17 Garvey going around the outside of Sontag, he just threw it in. We saw it tails away, and I mean, Jim, the back end of that car stepped out, and we watched Miller and we watched 63 Pyle go by Sontag. It was patience personified, working the inside. Garvey says, nope, I want it now. Goes around the outside.
Mike Garvey has the bit in. He's chomping down, trying to catch up these leaders.
He is hooked up. That now moves him up into the top 5. Here's our biggest movers. You see Garvey in the bunch, but Cope, we really haven't said anything about Mike. He started way, way back. He's moved up 21 spots, now in 10th. Then Garvey, then St. Amant, Sontag, and Brown. And we have a yellow flag on course once again. And it's over on the exit of turn 2. That's 66, Boris Yurkovich.
You know, he told me we're going to...
Oh, and apparently it wasn't just him. That's Ryan Hemphill.
Ironically, Boris Yurkovich told me last night that they were going to cut off the front clip of this car, redo some things. Now they have a little more help or a reason to do it this week in preparation for Hawkeye Downs.
More motivation.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, that car, I mean, it was moving when you backed it up, but it wasn't going anywhere forward. And obviously he and Hemphill, I don't know if they got into each other or one spun got the wall, the other one into the wall. We're going to go back and take a look here, and we're going to catch it. Yurkovich has already spun. You see that, whoa. That's the 98 of Doug Stevens, and he obviously maybe was involved with Yurkovich and Hemphill trying to squeeze through.
Innocent victim, but look at that right front wheel, how caved in it is. They've got major suspension damage and then some.
Yeah, right here, that thing is way cantered over. So that car is, he's got damage on both sides of that front end, obviously.
And it's unfortunate for this team because it was an innocent incident, but it'll be the 3rd straight run for this team, hoping to be Rookie of the Year candidates of 24th place finish or worse.
Man, look at that right there. And you can see the way that that outside tire has gone too, that maybe the panhard bar, something underneath it that connects both of those has been badly damaged as well. And, oh, that's a sad sight. Boris Yurkovich literally unfolding himself out of that car.
He had a really solid run. Really solid run. Too bad for Boris.
Let's go down to Rob Albright.
He's not only had a solid run, he's had a solid season thus far, but troubles today. Al Rydberg, crew chief, what happened?
I think he just got loose up in the marbles and he lost it. You know, he got into the end, you know, with the loose stuff there and stuff, and I think we couldn't get back down. He just spun out a little bit. Hopefully we can get it back on the track.
Al, obviously the disappointment showing in his voice. Ken?
Butch Miller down here for his 3rd and final pit stop. They'll take on right side tires. Doing a great job. It looks like the plan's really coming together for these guys. Jack Mann is down, and he's off.
He is out. Sorensen was tucked in right behind him, but you notice right behind Butch is the 63 of Robbie Pyle.
Got his stop.
He got his 4th stop in, got those tires he needed. Now we're going to see ourselves a shootout. Sorensen right in that mix as well. Looks like he had a pretty good stop. But you know who we show as the leader right now? A guy by the name of Garvey. What a comeback he put in as we sit and watch the onboard shot here.
How's the pressure there, Mel?
Robbie Pyle. Listen to the talk. There's Garvey. Dropping low, getting through the incident zone over there, but he doesn't show any signs or any inclination of wanting to come in right now. He has fought hard to get up to where he is, and I think he's not going to want to throw that away. It has been a sort of roller coaster, up and down year for Mike Garvey. We want to take you back and show you what his season has been. through the first 4 races. It started off great. He had the pole at Lanier, led the most laps, or at Lakeland, excuse me. Looked very, very strong indeed. Just didn't quite get the result he wanted. Then at Houston Motor Speedway, he led an awful lot of laps once again, but then ran into some problems, some damage to the car, was sort of a fluke, and it was enough to take him out. At Concord, well, the now infamous last lap incident with Davin Seitz, he was leading, but Seitz was winning. And then at Lanier, he dodged an early incident. Watch this right here, just straight through. And then later went by Robbie Pyle with this great onboard shot we had, and ended up getting a long overdue 14th win. He broke the schneid, as Rob Albright says. Let's go down to Ken.
Shane Tesh, crew chief for Mike Garvey. You guys struggled during qualifying, no question about it, and Tech, but you've got a nice run going now.
Yeah, we've had a WJP Motorsports Chevrolet has been pretty strong all day. We missed the spring setup a little bit, but our car is real good on the long run, so with the cars count dwindling down at the end of the race here, hopefully we can get some long runs in here and come out of this with a top 5, hopefully a win.
I spoke with Mike Garvey just before the race. I said, what's the plan? He said, we're going to charge hard. It's hard to pass here, guys.
Absolutely. I mean, that's all that Mr. Garvey could do, and I think Jim is trying to see if he can reach Mike Garvey right now and maybe get a word with Mike about his status, whether he's going to be able to go to the end. Garvey's well placed. He's got 1 lap car in front of him at this point. And a guy who's taking advantage of some of that pit stop strategy is number 30, the points leader in the Rookie of the Year points chase, Travis Kittleson. Is now listed in 2nd, Sontag still 3rd, Cozzolino up to 4th. And I think Rob Albright put it correctly that he was sort of rapidly thrown under the bus. We didn't have the replay, we can't see it for sure. But I think Cozzolino has been under fire and maybe everybody jumped a little too quick. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He certainly has put in a great ride, finds himself 4th. Nice job for Peter Cozzolino. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Toledo Speedway. We have just gone back to green, and after that pit stop sequence, Garvey leads at 30, Kittleson in 2nd, 71, Brett Sontag 3rd, 44, Cozzolino. There's your lead 4 at this stage. We look back now from Garvey. Big spoiler back there, trying to get any kind of stick at the back of that car as possible. Not so much it takes away the fun, of course, for Mike, but nonetheless working it very well. And they've opened up a little bit of a margin. 0-5 Chris Wimmer is in 5th, and he doesn't look quick enough to stay with this group. He's got 25, Mike Cope, 80, Brian Reffner trapped behind him, and then the 55 of Todd Cleaver as well. So this is the group right now. The question is, in 10th is Pyle, and then you have to look in 9th is the 52 of Miller, who both stopped, made some changes on the cars. Are they going to be significantly quick enough to be able to work to the front, assuming we don't get a yellow to jumble things up?
They should have the time to do so, but keep in mind how strong Brett Sontag's car remains. He did not pit the last 2 times down pit road, and he's able to hang on to 3rd right now.
And Mike Cope, what a tremendous drive he has put in. That Florida Auto Auction, the Manheim Auto Auctions car at this point. Remember, he was easily the biggest mover we had, and Rob, that charge continues.
Mike Cope started all the way back in the 31st spot, guys. He's slipped a couple of spots since the restart. I talked to him this morning. He said they had engine problems all day yesterday. They changed every belt, every line, every bolt-on accessory, hoping they found something. Obviously, they did. Travis Kittleson had followed Mike Garvey through traffic after the last caution. I just talked to his crew chief, Kerry Crooks. He said if this thing grows green the rest of the way, he's the man to beat.
Well, I tell you, we saw Kittleson early, and he, the pit stop sequences, Jimmy, dropped off a little bit, but when he was clean up front, he was fast, and he is staying all over Garvey right now.
And as Travis Kittleson follows in the tire tracks of Mike Garvey, they have paired up. Kittleson has found a veteran to run with. Butch Miller and Reed Sorensen. Reed Sorensen doing the monkey-do right now. Anything Butch does, they do. They change lefts, they change rights. Reed Sorensen doing the same thing as Butch Miller. So these guys have paired up, not to Mike Garvey's liking right now, because it looks like Kittleson's got a pretty fast race car.
He does. We're looking out now from the back of Garvey's car. You can just see the roof of Kittleson's car. And then in the back, the green car, Sontag in 3rd. That's the margin right now. The one thing I'm wondering about, Garvey had to play the pit strategy, skip maybe a stop to get to the front. Has he used that car up a little bit too much? And of course, when you drive a loose race car, sometimes you burn the right rear off of it. It's going to be interesting. Kittleson's car right now looks blue.
This year in ASA Racing, we've seen Mike Garvey sideways. We've seen him more than sideways and save it in the corners. He knows how to drive a loose race car. His dirt experience back in his home state of Michigan continues to pay off for him as he's aggressive on the wheel every lap.
Well, right now, folks, we want to bring you a new feature. It is our Odor Eaters race summary. The race summary presented by the new Odor Eaters Plus arch-supporting insoles. Here it is. We're at the Glass City 300. We've completed 221 laps, 8 different leaders, 9 different lead changes, 16 cars still on the lead lap. We have had 8 cautions for a total of 65 laps, but out of 300, that's not a bad ratio on a bull ring like this that's so fast. And it's wide, 60 feet wide. Gives these guys a lot of room to race, but when a car's parked sideways in front of you, at this speed, it's going to happen. It's been a great race.
Indeed it has. We see that Peter Cozzolino is putting in a solid effort, perhaps a career run for him as he's now up to 4th.
Well, speaking of Peter Cozzolino, let's check in with Ken.
Just spoke with the crew chief, of course, indicator for Peter Cozzolino. The original plan was to take on right side tires, fuel, and then a stop and go. They didn't work it out quite like that, but they did get their 3 stops in. He's very happy with the car right now. They're running right around 16.9 second laps, and they're going to see if they can hold on. He said Butch is in a whole nother league, though.
Well, Butch and Pyle certainly both have been running awfully quickly. The interesting thing is, Sontag now is reeling in Kittleson. I don't know what may have happened here. Here's Cozzolino, but when Rob interviewed him, for the crew chief, Rob explained that some guys were blaming him. I wonder if that got to Peter, and Peter has just said, you know what, that's enough. And I want to prove something here and show these guys what we can do, because he is hooked up.
He ran a full season in 1998. Peter Cozzolino was Rookie of the Year runner-up to Jimmy Johnson, and his best run has been a 4th to this point in the series. So this could be a record-tying day, if not improving day, if he can catch Brett Sontag.
Well, he definitely has that A&A manufacturing Chevy working strong. We're going to go back to the battle behind. Look at this group right here. 55 Todd Cleaver, 52 Butch Miller, 63 Pyle, 1 is Sawinski, and the 05 Wimmer in front. And by the way, Todd Cleaver, you know, when I started this year, I kept thinking, this name sounds familiar. Well, you pointed out to me as you talked to him that I've announced his name before in snowmobile racing. You think this guy's got fierce?
We're not just talking
snowcross.
Yeah, that's the kind where you take jumps like 40, 50 feet in the
Motocross,
crack.
basically motocross on a snowmobile, on big, huge gap jumps and the like. And Cleaver has decided to make the step. His first stock car race was in the year, 2000? So he's made the adjustment very well. He sits in the 7th spot right now, but the fans on hand are watching a doozy, and Garvey has found something. He's easing away. Welcome back to Toledo Speedway in Toledo, Ohio. 237 of 300 laps complete. Mike Garvey, the number 17 W.J. Plemons machine, leads it. And maybe he won't have to wait another 2 years or whatever to get that 15th like he did for the 14th. He has drawn away. His margin now is over 1.5 seconds for Garvey, having a great run as the margin is substantial indeed as he's working traffic. Second spot is the number 30 of Kittleson. But a good run for the 71 car, Brett Sontag. Rob Albright's with his crew chief.
Tom Lambie guided Brett Sontag to 2-track champions at Gundy Speedway. Tom, a huge step up. I gotta say, you've got to be happy with your driver's performance today.
Yeah, Brett's driving a real good race tonight in the Terry's Automotive Group Monte Carlo. We're hoping that our pit strategy holds out, the tires stay under us. A few more laps, and we'll have a good finish.
One of the rookies, not too many people really gave much of a shot to win a race here. Hey, he's in the hunt today, guys.
Oh, he is indeed. You know what, at Lakeland, when he got into the back of Garvey, I think he got vilified a little bit. And even though it was apparent he had brake problems, some people said, well, you know, you should have backed off and all that. But I think he had a bit of a brake failure, and I think he sort of had the bit in his mouth, if you will, to prove something, to say, you know what, I'm not a crazy driver. I can be very fast when things are working. He's showing that today. We know Kittleson's quick, and he's got Kittleson covered.
It comes down to respect. It really does. I mean, we talked about the young drivers and the rookies in the series getting impatient and getting into the veteran drivers, and then the reaction, as you heard at the beginning of the broadcast, that he's actually been trying to stay very, very clean since that incident.
Sorry, but did Refner work that beautifully? I'm sorry, but 52 Miller looked like he had finally got a way to get down underneath Refner, and Brian Refner used that lap car as a pick. Here comes Butch, who has been so fast, but without doubt, this has to be welcome respite for Brian Refner. This is easily his best run of the season. This is a performance with the Brian Refner we know from the past, no doubt.
And he got a little out of sequence. He came in the pits when most of the other lead cars stayed on the racetrack. So it's cycling well for him, and the strategies of the 3 mandatory stops. He's got some very creative people working with him. Back in Wisconsin is Refner, now working out of Wisconsin Dells area for his team. And he's assembled some guys he used to race with way back when in the mid to early 80s when he was dominant in central Wisconsin.
But Butch Miller now, as I have to say, he is now showing what's going on because Miller has jumped to 5th. Kyle is stuck in 7th. Sawinski's back in 8th. So Miller is just flying. Meanwhile, Todd Cleaver, the ex-snowcross snowmobile racer, has made the leap into stock car racing very successfully. Ken, this is a great run for Todd.
Yeah, of course, Todd Cleaver didn't have a great showing last year, finished in the top 10 in the 10th position, but only had one car, really had to take care of business. This year he stepped up. He does have another car, but that right there is probably the most important part of his crew, and of course his veteran crew chief, Bruce Carlson, who's helping him out this year. He's doing an awesome job.
Well, he is indeed. I mean, right now he is fending off Reed Sorensen. And folks, another great story here is Davin Seitz, that silver car that John Michael Montgomery sponsored, 06. He is a lap down. He's fought his way back into 16th, but as you can see, he is running some very quick laps right now. Had he not had the problem early, well, who knows? He may have been well into this one. Sorensen sits in the 10th spot, trying to figure out a way by Cleaver. He wanted to go high, couldn't get it done. He's going to stay up in that outside line. And boy, when those cars unwind, if they're working up high, it really gives you a run. And that is what Sorensen has done. He's working the outside. Boy, he got a little too wide that time. Cleaver able to respond. Sorensen stays put, side by side. Out of 4, onto the front stretch. 18-degree banking. Sorensen using every ounce of it right now.
He is 17 years of age. Young Todd Cleaver's not been behind the wheel of a stock car in just the last 3 years. He's going track championship, regional championship, ASA. These guys are showing that this young talent that comes through the ASA, AC-Delco, the ASA series, they have really put it together. Sorensen, very patient, got a great offer this year. He and his dad teamed up with Bud Gevin in that operation now out of Atlanta. And Cleaver, very clean racer. Ken mentioned one race car. He was able to do it all of last year to finish top 10 in points.
Yeah, he is very, very good indeed. Now, you know, another interesting story as we get a look here at Reed Sorensen. There's your stats, 12 starts, 5 top 5s. We're on board now with Casey Smith, and he had that huge, long stop after the problems. He's 127 laps down, but as you can see, he is now back up to speed, and they didn't park him and take him away. They said, you need laps. Nothing like getting on a racetrack in race circumstances and lapping. They've got him out. He's throwing in some pretty decent laps right now. This is all about seat time.
And a rear hub assembly problem, 127 laps behind pit wall, but you can hear he's on the gas. He's making his marks.
They got it fixed. That's no problem. It's just, so right now he's just out there trying to learn a little bit more about ASA racing, with the kind of veterans that are up front here. There's 80 Refner. Sawinski has gone by Refner now and is closing up just a little bit. But again, Rob Albright, Refner has had a great day today, although he is backing off a little bit.
He has dropped back a couple of spots. Walter Giles, what seems to be the problem? Brian's come from the back to the front, now he's fading a bit.
We got tangled up in that wreck around lap 175 and bent the front end. It's got about a half-inch of toe out right now. But before that, we had a real good car, and Brian's just doing a great job holding on to his position in the top 10. So that's about the best we can salvage for the Menards team for today.
From across the big body of water to the Craftsman Truck Series, now following Brian Refner to ASA, this team will be formidable before the season is over. Guys?
And you know what? Thanks, Rob. You know what? Toe out is not a good thing when you're trying to turn in.
And that means your right front tire is steering toward the wall where it should be steering left towards the other tire on the racetrack.
Refner is doing a magnificent job of controlling that. And look at Miller now. He's gone by Cozzolino. He is all over the back of Sontag. Remember what Sontag's crew said, which is in a whole other league this weekend. Well, he has caught Brett Sontag, and in front of Brett is the 30 of Kittleson. But Garvey is well away. 3.6 seconds is Garvey's lead right now. Can Butch make that up, Ken? What are they saying in his crew?
Boy, I'll tell you what, I was just watching one of the monitors. I don't think there's any problem there at all. As I watch the lap times go down, and Mike Garvey's into the wall back here.
Unbelievable. Garvey has found the wall solidly. Problems. Unbelievable development.
Guys, coming off you and just broke.
While leading, that was Mike Garvey saying something just broke.
Good run today, buddy.
Yep, he said, yeah, clearly something broke. I'm in the wall. So just an incredible day. Once again, it looked like everything was going his way, even though it looked like Miller was awfully quick. Less than 50 laps to go, and Garvey is out. We'll be back. Welcome back. We continue under caution as the leader, Mike Garvey, finds the wall, brings out the yellow. Mike's fine. He's out of the car. We heard him talking, and they're just looking at some problems over there. A little bit of a fire, some rubber built up in a couple of spots. We want to go to a replay. First of all, watch this. He turns in, a little bit of a loose move. Everything's fine. And then something lets go, and the car just tracks straight out. He tries and slows it down. Can't get it done. We're going to go on board. Just listen and experience this. Unbelievable.
Just broke. Are you okay? Something was vibrating in the right front that just broke. Yeah, I'm fine.
Something vibrated and broke in the right front. Let's go down to Ken.
Shane Tesh standing here as you watch on. Did you get a chance to speak with Mike?
No, I haven't talked to Mike yet. He just said something, right as the car crashed or whatever. Said something broke in the right front. He couldn't do anything about it after that. Car dropped down, slammed into the fence. We'll get a look at it here in a minute when the wrecker brings it in. The WJ Fleming's Chevrolet was good all day long. It's a tough break for the guys. We'll get back together and give them a run for their money at Hawkeye.
A little frustration, no doubt about that, guys, after they struggled so hard getting into this race and finally to the front, guys.
Well, you know that they will be back. This guy is a battler. Now watch what happens here. Everything's fine. There's that little bit of a rotation he likes, Jim.
Watch the left front wheel. It's going to cave in as soon as he goes up the racetrack. Watch it right there. Turns just a bit. That's where he lost control of that race car and said, guys, it's broke. Right there. It doesn't appear to be a whole lot, but it's enough for that front end to drop and him to lose control of the car and go in the wall.
And when we saw from that onboard shot, when it happened, he was a complete passenger. I mean, he just was probably pulling his feet back and knowing he was going to smack it pretty good, and just unbelievable. And that kind of got rid of the incidents we were talking about in terms of this guy, Butch Miller. Could he make it up, Rob? Well, it just got a lot easier for him.
Butch Miller's car owner Ken Smith was pacing the pit box like a cat with a couple of rats cornered. Ken, it looked like Butch might get to second, but this problem had not happened for Garvey. He's going to have a hard time winning this thing.
Well, I tell you, every time Butch Miller drives this 52 Timberwolf, you give him more tires, he's going to catch the guys in front of him, and I was pretty confident he was going to get him. He's the best short track racer around.
He talks confident, but I'll tell you, the way he was pacing, guys, he was nervous. Ken?
Well, Mike, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Ken. It's a shame. WJP Motorsports cars running really good. We had to work on it a little bit today. I think we had it pretty good at the end there. The way it looked like, the only one we really had to worry about was Butch, and then all of a sudden, about 5 laps before that happened, I started getting a real bad vibration, and something in the right front broke. Just went in the corner, just pulled the wheel out of my hand, the car just turned dead right. So I don't know what to see if we can figure out what it is.
Guys, if you take a look at his hands, you can tell right off the bat, that is not the way a driver ends his day.
Okay? Something was vibrating in the right front.
Tremendous frustration, and you can see he is favoring those hands indeed. So when it rips the wheel out of your hand like that, and then you have to go down and maybe do a little work on yourself to salvage it. Tough duty. He'll be back, though, as will we, at our next ASA race, coming at you from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Hawkeye Downs, Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Speed, so don't miss it. Next race coming up will be round 6 at Hawkeye Downs. As we continue under caution, it's number 30, the rookie Travis Kittleson out front. Another rookie in second, Sontag. But as the Jaws music starts to play, Butch Miller sits in third. We are back at Toledo, and the battle is well and truly afoot. That is Butch Miller, who has just gone around the outside of the 71 of Brett Sontag. He is now second. Out front, number 30, Travis Kittleson, the Bob Steele Chevrolet machine, leads it. That car is magic on the restarts, but then it seems to come back. Butch is just strong. There's Pyle, who actually got into the back of 44 Cozzolino and loosened him up just a little bit. As we just went back to green, he is snuck underneath, bringing Sawinski with him. Boy, Cozzolino wants to get down and stop that, but now Cozzolino trying the outside of Pyle, hoping Pyle would get hung up a little bit behind Sontag. That didn't happen.
A lot of fast race cars coming to the inside of Cozzolino, including Brian Refner now leading Reed Sorensen in those blue cars.
I'll tell you, Refner, just an incredible... Oh, and he gets into Cozzolino. And Refner fighting that car with that nasty toe out, loosens Cozzolino up. He's through. And there's 29 Sorensen, and then the lap car of Davin Seitz, missing that right front quarter panel, tucks in behind the 44 of Cozzolino. But Kittleson leads it. The interesting thing is, as we said, Kittleson's car looks great 5-6 laps after, when the tires are a little bit cool after a long caution. Then it goes away on him, and here comes Butch Miller. Now, these guys have a little bit of history. It happened last year at Memphis Motorsports Park. Watch this.
That was for the lead.
Well, deja vu all over again, maybe, here, as Yogi once said. Meanwhile, Kittleson, this is the thing. That car is so good, Jim. And obviously, if it's softening up and coming back, Butch's car just seems to get better the longer the run.
Kittleson's car is very solid right now, but we've seen Butch Miller come through and now at will be able to pass on the inside and the outside of that Timberwolf Racing Chevy. Travis Kittleson is a man with a, what should we call it, a limited amount of time here to get it done. Luckily, there's 20 laps to go and there's traffic up ahead.
So Kittleson struggling to hold him off, Ken.
Gary Crooks down here. Gary, it looked like the car was doing real well, but you said you might be needing some tires.
Yeah, the Bosfield Chevrolet Monte Carlos are running pretty good all day. We had a little problem in the beginning. We were a little tight. We came in and made some major adjustments. The guys behind us that we're trying to beat got a little more tire than we do right now. But I wouldn't want anybody else in that race car trying to win this race with Travis.
Travis, if you can hang on here, guys, and play it smart, we'll certainly hang on to the points lead for Rookie of the Year. And, of course, we need to talk about Butch Miller, who's been consistently 3 to 4 tenths of a second faster than everybody else, guys.
Well, Butch has a nose ahead, but Travis Kittleson, as you remember, that is Donna, who was very happy. His wife Donna very happy about that, but Kittleson not giving up. And remember, Kittleson said, we can run with them. They've got to acknowledge us as well. And there was a little tap there, not much, but Kittleson was able to stay at the outside for a couple of laps. Kittleson doing a beautiful job, but Butch Miller now just too much right now. And Rob Albright, Butch Miller's gone to the lead.
You know, it's pretty amazing. Butch, when he got the pole today, said the record I'd really like to break, but I don't think I ever will, is Bob Sineker's win record. He's got a long way to go to catch that one. But I'll tell you, this would put a punctuation mark on a great weekend for Butch.
Boy, would it indeed. And 71 Sontag now has the one of Sawinski, hammering him big time. This one's getting down near the end. One more time, enjoy the sounds of speed. Sontag, the one of Sawinski. That is a very stout battle right now for third, and closing in on them big time is the 63 of Robbie Pyle. And I was going to say, Jim, while Ken was talking to Travis Kittleson's crew, and they were saying we can use more tire, that was when you saw Travis, suddenly the car just stepped out a little bit, and those tires just gave up on him. It was enough for Butch to get the nose underneath, and I mean, Travis fought brilliantly. Not enough, but now Sawinski mounting the same sort of attack on Sontag.
Now, Sawinski, as many times as he's raced here at Toledo, his best finish is the third. He's going for that third spot now, and you notice how many valuable points every position passes this late in the race. It's 5 points, first through 10th, in descending order. So if Butch Miller wins this thing and he gets third, that's only a 10-point loss on Butch in the big picture.
10 laps to go. It'll be 9 to go. Actually, now it's 9 to go. As our leader, Miller, just crossed the start-finish line. This is the compelling battle right now. Sawinski, Sontag, and 63 Pyle. That is third, fourth, and fifth at this point. See what can happen. You just saw the tail deck of Kittleson's car. That's the margin to Kittleson. And Miller is a second clear of Kittleson at this point. And Ken Stout said he's been watching the monitors for lap speed, and Butch is dialing them up. In that last lap, Butch went 107.9 miles an hour, and Kittleson went 107.5. So Butch has him covered right now by a good half mile an hour, and on a half mile oval, that's a ton.
It was his crew chief, Dion Deneau, that said Butch is the best guy out here on tires, and now is when you need him. Those BFG traction TAs are certainly working for that 52 car.
And remember, once again, he took lefts, and that has proved to be crucial a couple of times this year. And to get rid of any loose condition and just to give you grip on all four corners is so vital. And Butch and his crew play that game to absolute perfection. It looks to me like Sawinski now might be chipping away at Kittleson. Yes, he has. He's taken a half second off of the margin Kittleson had. So Sawinski's on the move, and he's got Sontag in tow. Heil heaping the pressure on Sontag right now. Behind them, 29 Sorensen in 6. Cazolino. Oh, that's Zach Zieser, and we've got flames.
Davin Seitz hit the
Seitz
wall hard.
Again. Oh, man. What a rough day for Seitz. Early incident, late incident. Boy, moves the pit barriers there.
Those are temporary concrete walls separating pit road from the racetrack. But
that's 2 hard hits in that one incident for him. There's Niesner's.
Niesner was running in the 9th position at the time. What a bad break for that driver. First of 8 races as a teammate to Butch Miller this year, and man, what a hard lick.
And that happened with 296 laps complete. We have to have 5 green flag laps to go to the end. Here's a replay of it.
Going for position underneath Brian Reffner. He gets the left side wheels on turn number 4 in the dirt. Now they bump here on the front stretch, and both find the opposite ends of the spectrum. Spinning to the outside is Reffner. And Niesner spinning up the racetrack, collecting that silver 06 of Seitz.
Now look how hard Seitz hits that barrier. I mean, you wouldn't think he's moving that quick. Well, look at that. Now watch this.
There's onboard fire.
He's already moving the steering wheel.
He's already getting unbuckled out of that car. He saw the flash of fire, and they do have onboard fire extinguishers inside the cockpit.
Let's go down to Ken Stout.
As we see Davin Seitz climbing out of the car, he did give everybody the thumbs up. He is A-OK. Of course, the car has been hurt very, very badly. Something we need to keep in mind here is his entire crew is all volunteer. It's basically Davin Seitz, who of course earned his first win at Concord just a couple of weeks ago, who will have to repair this car himself to get ready for the next race. Guys?
That is a tough break. He has help from John Michael Montgomery, the country star, but it's limited at that. And the interesting thing to me is the second contact between Niesner and Reffner never needed to happen.
Going into turn number 3, watch the left side tires of the 04 car. He gets underneath Reffner, touches the grass, gets him in the grass again, just nudge Reffner there. Now watch as they hit right here on the front stretch. That little contact upset both cars and sent them spinning.
Well, is that the kind of thing that has led some of these veterans to suggest there's not enough respect out on the racetrack from some of the rookies?
I don't know, but Zach Niesner really a victim of sliding down the racetrack, nowhere to go, locked him down, and talk about victim. Seitz had nowhere to go at all, and another bad break for Reffner. He had a great run going.
Oh, absolutely did. And there's that flash fire there, which put itself out pretty quick. So, but for Davin, he's being pretty smart. Let's go back down to Ken, who's found Davin, I believe.
Yeah, Davin standing here. First of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's probably the hardest hit I've ever took, but I'm gonna be feeling it in the morning. But man, these guys, there's some of them just need to go back somewhere else in late models or something. I hate to say that because I've been there, but you got to ride. When your lap's down, you got to get out of the way, and I was just, biding my time. But they tried to tell them over there, but they need to do something.
We know you have to do a lot of work on these cars yourself. Your entire crew's volunteers.
Yeah, they are, and they got to work during the week, and I'm the only one that's going to work on it. That's our primary car, so I hope to see you guys in Cedar Rapids. We can see what we can pull together, and I want to thank everybody, Coin Textile, thank my dad, he's the major money behind this, and John Michael Montgomery, and everybody involved, signdetails.com. I want to thank everybody, because to put somebody like me on the track, and we're just biding our time.
Guys?
You can just see near tears almost. I think he realizes what this is going to mean to the program. There's Niesner's car. But again, I wonder, they had that little nudge. It was going for position, but the second tap, which is the one that really sent them both, he and Reffner spinning, that didn't look like that really needed to happen. And I don't know exactly what precipitated it, but it has taken a couple of very quick drivers out of it. And Seitz, who was just looking for points and went a lap down, he is out of it. He has got a lot of work set out for him in the next week. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. The fans in for a 4-lap shootout when we go back to green. And they are loving every moment of this. It is Butch Miller leading, but the margin he had has gone away. Travis Kittleson all over him, and Travis has been awfully fast on cool tires. Jim, can you talk to him?
Travis Kittleson, Jim Trado with Speed Channel, looking at that green and blue car ahead of you. You've been behind him for a while. Have you noticed a weakness, or is this restart your only hope?
Doesn't look like that car is too weak. We're doing all we can. Bob's Chevrolet car's running real good. I thought I was gaining some ground on it, but we'll get them, hopefully.
You got away from the field when you were leading earlier. This cold tire situation, will that help you at all in any sort of chance to get to turn 1 first?
I don't know. This track's been real finicky today. We'll just have to see what it does.
10-4, Travis. Good luck. Thank you.
Well, one of the concerns, obviously, is old tires, and you overheat them, they lose effectiveness. Cooling them down is big, but here's what Butch Miller's been able to put in today. Early on, of course, Sorensen got the margin, but Butch was patient, waited, made the move. They came into the pits. Their first stop, they went with right side tires. You would expect that. He drives by Robbie Pyle on his way back to the front. And he has been able to make passes with great regularity. Then he got by Stewart. That was for the lead. Later on in the going, he and Kittleson had this battle. Kittleson ran him tough. This was recent, but Butch made the pass stick. But as we go back to green, that was after a few laps had been run. 4-lap shootout to the end here, and Kittleson has been very quick on cool tires after the restart. But he's got the veteran savvy and experience of Butch Miller. You simply got to factor into this as well. That's one. Oh, Kittleson a little wide there, and that right there. Butch opens up by about 2 lengths. And I think Kittleson's tires may have just said enough.
He pushed up again. Here comes Sawinski to the inside now as Kittleson unable to hold it on the bottom.
I believe that's Kittleson's wife, Lisa. No, that's Donna, I'm sorry. Butch Miller's wife. Once again, watching, liking what she's seeing. And this is exactly what Butch wants, is Sawinski working over the number 30 of Kittleson, taking his attention away. White flag is out. Butch Miller, one more. He won at Lakeland, and I think there was a tap between Sawinski and Kittleson there. It forced Kittleson way wide. Sawinski threw Sontag in 4th, but here comes Butch. Going for his 48th career win for Butch Miller in the Timberwolves Chevy. Donna can't believe it. So happy, of course, and Butch Miller.
Good driving, Travis. Good job. Good job.
This has been a weekend of domination for Butch Miller. A new track record for ASA in qualifying by a ton. Comfortably able to go to the front anytime he wants during the race and gets the win. And Rob Albright, Donna sure looks happy does.
Yeah, what a difference the fates of 2 teammates. Rookie teammate Zach Niesner, his day into this way in pieces. But for Butch and his bride, Donna, great celebration. Donna, just describe the range of emotions.
You go from high to low. It's just devastating when you have that caution because Butch is flipping out, everybody's nervous, and you don't know how the car's going to be. So it just goes from exhilaration to devastating.
That's what makes ASA Racing exciting, guys.
And Butch starting to throw in some donuts, and you see a couple of the ASA officials stopping traffic to let him celebrate here at Toledo. He had the pole last year, but couldn't pull it off. Well, he got the pole, a track record, and now a win. His second here at Toledo. Butch Miller proves that even at his age, he is still arguably the best. We'll talk to him. Welcome back as Butch Miller steps out of the Timberwolves Chevy. And guess what, folks? We talked about his accomplishments today. Add another one. For the first time this season, the pole winner wins the race. That's the VP Fuels Front Runner Award. An extra $6,250. Total win today, Ken, $18,500. This guy's happy and he's rich.
280 starts. He now has 48 wins and, of course, tied Mr. Senegal with 49 poles. Boy, what a beautiful weekend, Butch.
It couldn't hardly win any better. You know, the only thing I could have hoped for, I've always had this dream that we'd win all the practices, end up on the pole and lead every lap in a race. Well, that hasn't happened yet, but we had a good run today.
There is no question this car has been a bullet all weekend long. You constantly had 3, 4, sometimes even 5/10 of a second on the rest of the field.
It's a great race car, you know, and hey, John, Timberwolf, good job, thanks.
He's very excited, guys. Very, very happy winner. Let's go to Rob Albright.
Well, Kevin Sawinski came in just 6 points out of the points lead. He's got half a smile. Kevin, why?
Well, I'll tell you what, this SK Tool car was off all day.
hats off to my crew. They dialed her in, and at the end there, I was wishing it was another 50 laps. Don't know if we could have done anything with Butch. He's been fast all weekend, but hey, we'll take a second and go on.
We've talked about rookies. We've had some great rookie runs, but guys, the cream rises to the top. The cream is the veterans this weekend.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. They did put on a bit of a clinic, although Travis Kittleson and Brett Sontag did a nice job, 3rd and 4th, and then 63 Pyle, another veteran, finishing out the top 5 as the crowd starts to make its way to the exit, but not rushing because they want to get up front to the fence here and see what's unfolding with those interviews here. So it has been a tremendous race. We have more to cover yet. Here's your top 10 unofficially at the end of it, and we'll be back to wrap things up here at Toledo Speedway. Speed Channel's live coverage of the ASA Racing Series Glass City 300 has been brought to you by SK Hand Tools, the official hand tool of the ASA, and by Action Collectibles, the choice of champions, and by Odor Eaters Plus, arch-supporting insoles, the only arch-supporting insole that protects against odor and wetness. Quickly, let's get right back down to Ken Stout.
Travis Kittleson standing here, of course, leading in the Rookie of the Year points battle. And I've got to say, hats off to you, young man. You certainly showed some poise up there with just a lap or so to go. You didn't crash his car. You got up out of the way. The car wasn't handling to your expectations, obviously. You let Sawinski go by, but you finished the race in 3rd. Fabulous run.
Yeah, it was a great day for the Bob Steele Chevrolet team. Great points day. Unfortunately, we didn't hold on to the lead, but, you know, we'll get them next time. We're on a roll. I mean, these guys are working hard, and every week I think we're just going to get better. We'll get that win.
Fabulous, fabulous job out of one of the rookie drivers here with the ASA. Let's go to Rob.
Brett Sontag came to ASA with a strong resume and a great racing pedigree, but we've ignored him. Brett, we're sorry. You've had a great run today.
It was an awesome run. We didn't do real good in qualifying, and seen Steve Dale last night at the hotel, and he asked me how I did. I said, we got a good car. We probably got the best car we had all year, and I just got to thank Terry Cunis and Marianne Cunis, Terry's Ford of Piatone, my pit crew, my family at home, all my fans. This is awesome.
Brett Sontag, an unsung rookie, but perhaps not for long. Ken with Peter Cozzolino.
Peter, another pretty exciting race there, buddy.
Oh, I tell you, the whole crew's gelling real well. The McDonald's A&A car has been, I mean, it's coming along. We're developing a real good package, and rough race. I mean, we had right at the end there trying to get around the Beatty car, the 09 car, and he was up all over the racetrack. I checked up and got piled into the back of it. That caused a big wreck, but other than that, we had a pretty clean race. Real good race for the McDonald's team.
He's happy, guys, but there's always some excitement around that 44 car.
Yeah, there is. You can see in the replay, he loosened up Reffner to get by him, and Reffner ended up 15th, but Cozzolino, the drive of the year for him, he finished in 7th. And Butch Miller was talking about, I had this dream about winning every practice, qualifying, leading every lap, winning the race. The only part of that didn't happen today was leading every lap of the race. He was untouchable in every session on Saturday.
Yeah, he's just been in the class of the field here at Toledo Speedway. Now we're off to Hawkeye Down Speedway, where he's had success, as has Kevin Sawinski. I can't wait for Saturday night right here on Speed.
Oh, man, it is going to be fantastic. Here it is, next ASA race, Hawkeye Downs. Make sure you tune in next Saturday night right here live on Speed. Always check out speedtv.com as well for any information you're looking for on the world of motorsports. It has been an absolute treat to be here at Toledo Speedway. What a great race, what a great performance, as Donna shows, for Butch Miller. For Jim Trado, for Ken Stout, for Rob Albright, I'm Greg Kramer. We'll see you next Saturday night from Iowa.